Okay, in this example, I'm going to talk a little bit more about responding to events or event handling, and I'll cover a few more topics as well. So to get started, I'm going to put two labels and two buttons on my form. So as noted before, I'm going to change this to A to Z. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to call this LBL 1, message 1. And what I'm going to do is, for now, I'm going to take the text out of this so it doesn't have anything in it. It's hard to see that way, so what I might do is change the auto size to false. And so now I have some space for that. Okay, so we can make it a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to create a second label. It's hard to see my other label. I just wanted to see where it is. I'm going to come up here. I'm going to change the name to LBL message 2. I'm going to change the auto size to false. And I'm going to change its text property. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a border around it. That way I can actually see it right now. So I'm going to change my border style to fixed single. And I'm going to come up here. If you can't find this, you can't see it, you can always come over here and you can find it in your properties, and then if you click on it, it'll select it here as well. So I'm just going to change, again, the border style to fixed single. Okay, so I'll just make both of these a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to create two buttons. So I'll come down here. For right now, I'm just going to give them a name. So I'll call this BTN 1 and a second one called BTN 2. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just have some code in here, so when the user clicks on the button, a message will appear up here. So I probably should change this text. So I'll say, click for message 1. And you can make the bigger button bigger if you want to see it. And here I can say, click for message 2. All right. So to create an event, and in this case we're creating a click event, we just have to go to the button that we want, and if we double click on it, it'll generate the code for us for the click event. Now I want you to see here, make that a little bit smaller, that it creates the heading, right? It's a button 1 is the name of my control _ click, so it's a click event. It's going to happen when somebody clicks on this, and it passes it any parameter it needs, and it says that it handles a button 1 click event. So this is a sub, which is just like in C++, it's a function. It's a sub procedure is what it's called. And so the code for that button click goes in here. So let's say I wanted to put some text in my label 1. So if I say LBL, because I'm using label, the prefix for my label, see how I get a drop down here? And it lets me just pick from this. I can click it with my mouse, or once it's highlighted, I can just hit the tab key to select it. And I want to change its text property. So I just put control name label message 1 dot. And then as I start to type text again, the Intellisense here will select text, and I can choose it with my mouse, or it's easier to just hit the tab key. And then I'm going to assign it. So this is just an assignment statement, and you should be familiar with them from Computer Science 1. So I'm going to assign it a new value, and the text property is always a string. Hello 1, I'll just put. Okay, so that's my click event. So if I now notice here's my design, and here's my form1.vb, which is my code. All right, so you always have these two forms you can go back and forth between. If you lose them, you can choose view code or view designer and bring them back. And so now I'm going to start my application. Trying to be patient. It'll just take a minute here. And when I click on the one button, it's going to execute this code. Okay. So here, and there's the code. If I click on this, nothing happens. There's no click event for it. Okay, so I'm going to close my application, and I would have to add a second click event. So I'm going to come over here. Now notice, private sub button 2 click, the code goes right in here. LBL message, this time message 2 dot text. Okay, so now I have a click event for each of those. Right, here's 1, here's 2. And now I'm going to exit my application. Sometimes students will click in the wrong spot, like they'll click here, and notice what's happening is you're getting a form load event. I'll talk about that in subsequent chapters, but we don't have a form load event, so sometimes you end up getting these empty event handlers. Like if I click in here, I'm getting a label message click event. Well, I could put code in here if I want to, but I don't want to, so really nothing's going to happen if someone clicks on when the form loads or when someone clicks here. But there's no reason to have these, so if you have any empty ones, you should probably just delete those out. Okay. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add an exit button. So I'm just going to put another button over here. And the name of that button is going to be BTN exit. And the text property is going to be exit. And I'm going to create an event handler here. So make sure you're typing your code inside, right? Here's the beginning sub, the end sub. All of these event handlers have to be inside of your class. Okay. The code to exit a form is just me.close. And you see as I start to type more letters, now close will be highlighted and I can hit the tab key. Okay. Notice it is it's a procedure. In other languages it's called a function or a method. So it does require the parentheses, but it'll put that on there for you if you need them. So now I'm going to do this. Click here, exit. All right, and my application is going to exit. So remember you have these two forms open here. If they disappear, right, you can come over here and click on form 1. That'll always bring back the design, and then you can choose view code, and that'll bring back the code, and you can just go back and forth between those tabs.